My name is Eric Stevens, along with along with Jessica Sears and Alexa Byers of Business Oregon. We'll be presenting today the expanding global opportunities for Oregon exporters. During this difficult time in the country in the United States at this particular point, it is important that we make sure that we provide as much information as possible in regards to exporting and opportunities that might be on the horizon. Today, we'll talk about EXIM, as well as the overview of EXIM and what we do and basically how we do it, along with, and to advance to the next slide, which also, thank you, we'll talk about EXIM relief programs, we have a presentation from Business Oregon in regards to what they're able to do from a state standpoint with the economic situation we have right now with relief programs, as well as the normal programs and grants available to exporters. We'll also have a question and answer period at the end where you're able to ask questions of myself, Jessica, or Alexa in regards to how we could help you or better serve you. All right, who we are and what we do. EXIM is an independent government federal agency of the United States government. We were established in 1934, so we're a little over 86 years old. And one of the best kept secrets I like to say in the United States government, because we've been around so long, but most people who outside the export community really don't know who we are or what we do. Now we're headquartered here in Washington, D.C. Uh, we have 12 regional offices located throughout the United States, with closest office to most people in Oregon being in Seattle, Washington. Now, our goal is quite simple: to help business owners, exporters, to create jobs and sustain these jobs by increasing U.S. export sales. Quite a simple mission, but very important to our economy. Now, we're able to do that by utilizing our resources in terms of export credit insurance and working capital, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in the presentation. Now, EXIM is led by our chairman and president, first female chairman and president, I might add, Chairman Kimberly Reed. She's flanked by Director Spencer Bacchus and Judith Pryor. Our board of directors over the course of the past 1 year, actually 8 months since they were actually inaugurated, well, May of 2019, so it's been 1 year, have worked tirelessly working across the United States, holding small business forums and expos to actually talk to small business owners so we can discuss the problems and concerns that concern you in terms of being able to export. Now, most people within the export community understand this particular graphic, that 95% of the world's population lives outside of the United States. So with that being said, that means the majority of your actual purchase power in terms of being able to export lies outside the United States. And the funny part about that, there's one four-letter word that stops people from actually exporting, small businesses. It's risk. Very simple. That's why only 1% of US companies actually export. Now, as a credit agency of the United States, our financing does make the difference between winning or losing a particular contract. EXIM programs minimize the risk for lenders using our working capital guarantee programs, as well as our export credit insurance. It also levels the playing field by allowing U.S. exporters to compete with exporters around the world who are using the same information and the same type techniques from their particular countries. Now, working capital guarantees financing by assuming the risk. Traditional banks aren't usually willing to do. Lenders will not advance against foreign receivables without the guarantee from the federal government, which is what EXIM does. Our financing covers the spectrum, from the initiation to pre-export financing with the working capital guarantees, which funds are used for materials, labor, supplies, overhead costs, and anything related to the export side of your business. Now, our post-financing helps with insurance, guarantees, and direct loans. Now, guarantees and direct loans are typically for capital improvement projects. Now, here's a quick reference on how EXIM can assist you by fulfilling orders, by using our working and capital guarantee, as we talked about a few seconds ago, extension of credit, and access to capital. and risk protection. That all falls under our receivables insurance, also known as export credit insurance and buyer financing, which are direct loans. Foreign buyer needs a loan to purchase U.S. products. This is typically for capital equipment as well. Now, working capital guarantee. Now, to show EXIM has been able to pivot and actually assume some different responsibilities, and as well as some change their programs in response to what's going on in the country right now. Our working capital guarantee usually covers 90%. As of yesterday, we received approval from the OMB Office of Budget and Management here in Washington, D.C., to extend that to 95% to exporters. So additional 5%, we will open up a new and more attractive to lenders to start lending more to actual businesses. More information is to follow. As I said, it was just approved the day before yesterday. So it's to give us an opportunity to improve in that particular area. Now, some of the things these are used for in terms of the rates would be advanced inventory. We do that up to 75%. For advanced receivables, up to 95%. Now, the transaction can be specific or it can be a revolving loan basis, depending on the need. Now, the term is generally 1 year on these particular types of loans, and they may be renewed every 3 years. There's no minimum or maximum amount at all. The products must be made in the United States, and or if it's a service, it must be performed by U.S.-based personnel. Our export insurance, which is what we're pretty much known for in terms of from the export community, protects against non-buyer, shields U.S. borrowers from commercial and political, as well eliminates the need for borrowers to pay in advance. Being able to actually use that particular credit terms and let your actual purchasers pay on time helps them in terms of making sure they have access available for that. It also boosts your borrowing base because you're able to borrow against those assigned receivables with an actual lending institution. So it's a great opportunity there. Now, we function in a variety of industries, as you can see: manufacturing, construction equipment, renewable energy, agricultural, ag business, as well as wholesale and resale gas. And of course, everybody knows that we function in the aircraft and avionics industry through our association with some of the larger parts of the bank. Now, because we are a actual bank, or quasi bank, so to speak, in a government agency, we do have some restrictions we do have to follow. We can't do any military or defense related products. The exceptions are for drug interdiction, as well as any rescue or humanitarian missions that we can actually provide that. Now, U.S. content, because the optimum goal of EXIM is to make sure businesses, small businesses to be specific, are able to actually maintain jobs and increase their export resources. There is a U.S. content on that short term. It needs to be 50+%. Medium term needs to be 85+%. Now, what that regards to is the actual retail selling of the price of the product. So in terms of if you import something, add value to it where it's more than 50% of your retail, then we're able to assist you with that. Now, we do have a restricted countries list as well. Now, we're not able to function in all the countries. We have 186 countries around the world at this particular point. That list is kept up to date, and it basically allows you to see who we're able to do business with. That is an important part of the initial export pre-process, making sure we're actually able to do that. Economic impact. This talks to the fact that you cannot, or EXIM will not participate in any type of transaction which will hurt the United States economy. That is one of the key things we're founded on. Shipping. It must be shipped using a US-based vehicle. And additionality, which speaks to EXIM's involvement within a particular transaction. EXIM would not participate in a transaction where we don't bring value to that particular transaction, in terms of it making sense that EXIM actually does that. Now, there's a few reasons you can call EXIM. Here are some things we've heard in the past. You have a foreign borrower who wants credit terms. You export routinely, but your growth in foreign sales is limited because of non-risk. You're losing opportunities because you only do letter of credit or cash. Are you counting cash flow payments due to increase in foreign sales? Have a buyer who needs several years to pay for capital equipment. As you can see, the two products that come to mind for the first 3 bullet points will be our export credit insurance, as well as with our working cap when you need extra information or extra cash for your buyers or capital equipment purchases. Now, EXIM can't do it alone. We're only an agency of 400 individuals, so we cover the entire United States. Uh, Being able to do that gives us the opportunity to work with some great partners. We have brokers who are located throughout the United States with assist you with your maintenance of your policy in the day-to-day operations. We also have regional export promotion members, such as Business Oregon, which is a former member of the Regional Export Promotion Partner of the Year as well. They help us. We have 52 organizations located over 37 states. Our delegated lenders, which work with our working capital program, they work closely with us, and they'll be continuing to work closely with us with the new 95% threshold that we do have. Our U.S. Export Assistance Centers. These are crucial to the export industry. It houses the United States Department of Commerce, well as the actual SBA and EXIM all in one office. Gives us a great opportunity to make sure the exporter is taken care of from all three branches of the government. And export relief programs, as you know, this is shall we say, interesting time and challenging time in our country right now. Now, in response to that, EXIM basically leaped into action in March when we were actually sent home from working within Washington, D.C. and made sure we did have some programs available for our exporters. And I'll briefly run through them. Their information can be found in our website, and I will be forwarding out that information as well with the updates so you can read the detailed information of the program. But first, our bridge financing program. EXIM engaged in numerous discussions with exporters, lenders, and other EXIM stakeholders about the temporary lack of liquidity in the private sector as a result of COVID-19. Farm purchasers are having a difficulty obtaining financing from commercial banks and markets due to the economic stress we're going through right now. This difficulty is expected to persist for quite some time, according to all the reports. So we'll be making changes and updates to our bridge financing program. Secondly, we expanded our pre-delivery and pre-export financing programs. Now, as a result of the lack of short-term liquidity, many manufacturers will not be able to get their required pre-export payments from farm buyers to complete their manufacturing. So they'll not be able to convert those finished products into cash because of that inability. So we'll be working with expanding the constraints regarding with that program as well. Now, our supply chain program will also be considered an expanded program by relaxing some of the criteria within that program to make sure we're able to meet the supply chain demand. Our working capital program, as we talked about a little bit earlier, we expanded that to 95% as of 2 days ago. So that's going to be a great benefit to small business exporters. And probably the most important one to our present policyholders is extension of payments. In recognition of these difficulties, EXIM has immediately approved the extension of financing of up to 90 days, extension of 90 days for any foreign customers have payments due between February 1st and June 1st. Now, I know you guys say we're in the middle of April right now. What I will probably expect for us to do somewhere toward the end of the month is take a look at that and make some adjustments depending on the economic situation that we might be in. Now, we've done some changes to our multi-buyer and single buyer short-term policies. Under our multi-buyer and short-term policies, we've streamlined the multi-buyer renewals up until June 1st. We've also streamlined the processing of all single buyer policies during this particular point as well. And we've also extended shipment reporting up to 30 days after the shipment. Now, under our medium and single buyer insurance policies, we're extending that filing period up to 30 days as well. We're also extension of policies for 30 days within 60 days of expiration. So we're actually moving on with that. Now, also one other thing I wanted to mention in regards to what's happening at EXIM and kind of actually happened today. EXIM Bank launched a Strengthening America initiative. It came out a little bit earlier today. It will begin with the kickoff of teleconferences across the United States with American businesses and stakeholders. And the focus of these particular conferences is to work with people in individual industries to understand what's happening in that industry and how we can better serve you. More information will be available on our particular website, but I do know we have a webinar teleconference coming up tomorrow on renewable energy. We have wireless communications we'll be talking about, artificial intelligence, as well as water treatment and space technology. So look forward to that information as well. My name is Eric Stevens. I appreciate you taking the time today to join us. I'd like to turn it over to Business Oregon and Alexa and Jessica.